Okay, good. Okay, this is how to break down a deck real fast. We're gonna pretend this is a 12 by 20. Here, let's do 20 here, 12. Okay, your outside stringer is gonna be a 2 by 10. And depending on the length will determine how, what size material you get. So you would get a 2 by 10 by 12 here. You would get two 2 by 10 by 10s here because you don't have a 2 by 10 that is 20 foot long, which means you would need a post in the middle to be able to hold that. You can put the post underneath, okay? Now, normally, if this is your house down here, the boards will run this way on top, which means your inside stringers need to run this way, okay? Now, if you have a deck that's too long, you would want to double up a board in the middle, which would be a 2 by 10. So your outside is 2 by 10, and any kind of support that you have here would be a 2 by 10 in case your boards aren't too long. In this case, we only have 12 feet, so we don't need that middle board. But your support boards underneath are gonna be a 2 by 8. They're gonna be every 16 inches.
Morning.
So you would take this 20 feet
Yeah,
times
you got a
12
shop job that you need to
divided
be
by
picked up?
16
All right.
would
They should be able to
tell
pull it
you
up.
how many
Thank you, sir.
2 by 8s that you need.
Oh, can I get you a sign?
Underneath that 2 by 8, you're gonna do a 2 by 2. So what this would look like, if I'm looking at the inside of the board,
Yeah, make it where
I would
somebody
have
can read it, so
here
that way we know who to
2
come
by
after.
2, and then I would have my 2 by 8 sitting on top of that.
I'll get them pull around.
For every 2 by 8, for codes purposes, and you would want to check codes in your local area because it's different everywhere. But here you need the metal support for each support board for your 2 by 8s underneath the top boards. Your handrail is done just like fencing. So you would do 8 feet or less on your handrail. So for example, I have here I have 12 feet, so I would do one here, one here, one here. You could do two 10-foot sections here it's better to keep it 8 feet or less. So I would have one here, and one here, and you would just have smaller handrail. And everywhere you do this, if possible, if the deck is short, you want to have the post go all the way from the ground up so that the handrail is a part of that. If your deck is higher off the ground, you want to have, you would have to have post underneath and then also post on top. Your handrail is just 2 by 4 like this with your spindles. And depending on exactly what style of handrail you're doing, a lot of times we do a deck board on top so that somebody can sit a drink or something like that, okay? Let me tell you about the steps real fast. Your steps look like this, okay? This is called your run, and this is your rise, okay? The rise is around 7 inches. It's actually 7 1/4, but it's better to just do 7. The run is 10 inches, okay? So run, rise. So rise, run, okay? Depending on how tall your deck is off the ground. So let's say it's 5 feet off the ground. You would divide that by 12 and then divide it by 7, which would equal the number of steps that you have. Again, the height divided by 12 divided by 7 would give you the number of steps that you have. if you take the number of steps times 10, this will be how long your board is. So if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps times 10 is 50 inches. I have to get an 8-foot board because it's not long enough, but it would be less than 5 feet long, this board. Your steps are made up of 3 stringers. So like if this is the edge of your deck, you would have 3 stringers here. And of course they're cut like this. And then on top you have 2 deck boards. Usually your steps are 3 foot wide on a deck. If somebody requests it wider, you can do 4. You do get into some things, if your deck is really high off the ground, you have to do a landing in the middle, and that's with codes and things like that. But as long as you have a deck that's pretty close to the ground, it's just gonna be standard. So these stringers are 2 by 12s. And then of course the stuff on top is a deck board. So it's a 1 by 6 deck board on top. You wanna have post at the top, post at the bottom, and depending on how tall it is, you may need a post here. If it gets over 8 feet, I would probably put a post in the middle. Okay, that's it.